Hi everyone, this is Matthew Archambault from DrawingTutorialsOnline.com, and this is Composition Through Landscape, Scene Number 1. Now this photograph here is a photograph that I shot in Old Bethpage State Park on Long Island in New York, and this is going to be the subject of our first composition. And I kind of lucked out with this photograph. Usually what happens in an illustration type setting is you go out, you take a photograph of the background, then you have your model come to your studio. But I lucked out because I went to this park with my daughter and I photographed her in certain settings that I liked. I kind of went before I took her and I scoped it out. So for me, photography is really a huge part of my process for creating images. Now, the things that I'm going to teach you in this tutorial is something that you can use for drawing out of your imagination, and you can also use it for drawing from photographs. I kind of set this photograph up. It kind of was a happy accident, actually, but I want to break this down for you. And it's very rare that you get lucky where you take a picture and the composition is like perfect. So we're going to start off with this picture. We're going to turn it into a drawing, and I want to analyze it, and we're going to analyze it starting right now. Now I'm going to take this picture off of the scene. And if you're watching this on DrawingTutorialsOnline.com, obviously this picture is going to probably be right below the video. And if you've purchased this DVD, well then basically you're going to have a PDF on a separate disc, or I will send you to a web page to see this photograph. Okay, so let's get started now. And you can see that I've got my four rectangles, and we're going to zoom into this rectangle, and we're going to start off with our first thing or idea or technique, however you want to phrase it, to confront white blank paper, okay? Because that's all I'm basically teaching you here, is how to start off and how to compose and how to confront this blank white sheet of paper, because it really is a big dilemma for me and for you when we're starting off and we're trying to create a new scene. It's like, gosh, where do we start? And I don't expect you to use all the things that I teach you here in this tutorial. And I'm going to throw out a couple of ideas for you. I'm just adjusting my easel. Give me a moment. And we're going to probably do 3 to 4 separate composition scenes, 3 to 4 different landscape drawings, and each one I'm going to start off giving you ideas on how to confront them, how to confront the white blank piece of paper, I should really say. So let's just kind of dive into it, and I'll talk as I go. Now, if you're asking what's this thing on the side over here, I just have this here so my camera can also look at something really dark, or else this white paper is going to be really, really dark. So the first idea that I like to use in a composition is this thing called compositional shapes. Now, I've done 1 or 2 tutorials on this on DrawingTutorialsOnline.com already, but let's use it in this kind of overall scene. Now, the idea behind the compositional shape is simply that you are arranging lights and shadows, all right? And you're going to group them into these shapes. You know, this particular scene is going to be an L shape. Okay, that's my overall simple idea behind this. Now, pretty much, and this is going to be really primitive. This is going to be actually extremely primitive just to prove my point. Now, we're going to break this down more and more and more as we go into each little study here. But this is the first thing that I think about when I'm doing my composition. And the first thing that I think about is, what's the overall compositional shape going to be for my image? Now, you just want to kind of think of this as if you're in grade school, okay, and you have 2 pieces of paper. Let's say a dark gray sheet of paper and a light gray, or a white sheet of paper. Let's just go with gray and white so we don't get overly complicated. And you have a pair of scissors and some good old-fashioned Elmer's glue. Well, you're going to take that piece of paper, you're going to cut it out into a shape, and you're going to glue it onto your white sheet of paper. And so you're going to create a very simplistic mosaic, or kind of like mosaic tile, so to speak. You can do it with 3 values, but I'm just going to do it with 2 values right now. Now, basically, I say L shape. You're like, where's the L shape in that? Well, I'd have to turn it and flip it. But basically, you know, I've got this thing that's kind of going this way. And so why is this compositional shape so very important to your image? Well, it's important for a few reasons. The first reason is most of your images are probably going to be seen small on your website. Okay, people are going to stumble across them small on your homepage, maybe the homepage of your gallery, and that gallery, your images are maybe going to be like 3/4 of an inch by 1/2 of an inch, or maybe an inch by 2 inches in a rectangular form, and you want them to pop out. Well, the quickest way for them to pop out is to have a very simplistic. I know that this isn't really exciting for you guys to watch, so I'm going to make this chapter really short. But this is pretty much my compositional shape, okay? And again, so I'm just kind of trying to make this a little bit more solid. You just really want to listen to me in this first chapter, because I understand that this is really not exciting visually for you to watch. So you really want to listen. Basically, number 1, it's going to make your images pop on your website. And it's also going to make your images pop on like group community websites. So let's say you're an illustrator and you're going to go on the ispot.com, and there's a gazillion different artists on that website that you're competing with. You want your images to pop. Well, one way to make your images pop is to use this theory of the compositional shape. So most of the time when you do this compositional shape thing, these shapes, this shadow shape versus that light shape, really should be balanced if you do them in an organic type way. You know, there's different shapes that you can use. You can use a triangular shape, you can use an oval shape, and it's not to mean that everything is going to fit into this compositional shape. By contrast, what I'm going to show you in the next chapter is your main object is going to overlap the light and the shadow. This is a key line right over here. And if we go back and we look at this photo, okay, I've got it really zoomed in. If we go back, this line over here, let me zoom out slightly. This is the line that our main character is going to crop. Okay, so I didn't shove her into the shadow, I didn't shove her over here. Basically, you've got to think in layers when you're doing this compositional shape, and the landscape was there before the girl was there. So you want to kind of, this could also be this compositional shape. Let's say you're doing a cityscape. This compositional shape could be one side of the street is in shadow and one side of the street is in light. It's basically a different way of thinking of it is light and shade, positive and negative, just big shapes. Now, the opposite of this would be something that I always call an Amish quilt. And so if I take my little scrap piece of paper over here that I'm using so I don't smudge the other drawings, the Amish quilt would be, okay, you got a little shadow shape over there, you got a little shadow shape over here, one over here, one over here, one over here. And basically what you wind up with is patches of like little shadow shapes all over the place, and there's no continuity, and your image is not going to be powerful because you're not dealing with a big underlying shape. Now, obviously it's not going to be as simple as this, but you need your starting point, and in our next chapter we're going to break it down even more, and in the following chapters we're going to break it down even further. Okay, so that's chapter 1, and the first thing you're going to use to confront your white blank sheet of paper is a compositional shape. Now let's move on to chapter number 2 in landscape scene number 1.